Hello everyone. Friends. It will be useful for you to listen to our videos until the end. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new and useful posts every day. So let's go to our video. If you ask us, and you did, the last gen Civic Type R was the undisputed king of sport compact cars. Nothing it competed with drove as well as that car did. That is understandably a tough act to follow, but the 2023 Honda Civic Type R has pulled it off. The long, slow drip of information about this car has obviated the need to go deep into technical detail here, so we'll keep it short and sweet. Honda engineers effectively took all the best parts of the old Civic Type R seater, improved them by, let's say, 10%, and put them in the new generation Civic body. It wasn't quite as simple as that, but the end result certainly feels like it was. The result is a car that immediately communicates its capabilities to you. You know from the second corner that you can drive this car flat out with no warm-up or familiarization. It's that good. It doesn't even matter how talented a driver you are, because this car can make both an amateur and a pro feel completely confident going all out and finding every last bit of adhesion. Civic Type R track rat. And, boy does Honda want you to. Clearly the engineers had to find a way to make this car even more awesome than the old one, and they found it on the track. It's exceedingly obvious that all the improvements made to this car were done in the name of chasing tenths and even hundredths of a second in lap times. Circling Northern California's tricky Sonoma Raceway, better known as Sears Point, the magnitude of lateral grip is just staggering. This is at its core a front-drive compact hatchback sedan, a commuter car. The amount of speed it can carry through corners boggles the mind. Fitted with its optional Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, the center never lets go. The most wiggle you'll get out of it is a tiny little rotation of the rear end on turn-in that points you at the apex, or a mild push wide at the exit if you're completely ham-fisted with the throttle. Otherwise, the car just grips and grips and grips. It never breaks loose or snaps. It honestly feels like the only way the Civic Type R can get sideways is if you went off the track. You need a low grip surface to break the stranglehold these tires have on the ground, and even then you get the impression it wouldn't be that dramatic an event. The only time you're confronted with issues of grip is when exiting low-speed corners. The limited slip front differential does excellent work putting the power down, but beyond that it's your responsibility to set up for the corner correctly. Get it right and the car pulls away hard, but apex too early and get on the power too soon and it'll gently push wide, which can be easily corrected by backing off the throttle and promising to get it right on the next lap. Street sports. It's not much different on the streets, even with the standard Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires installed. The center just makes it easy to drive fast. You get the innate impression you'd have to drive like an absolute tool to wreck this car. Bumps. No problem. Bumps in the middle of a high-speed corner. Also no problem. Small jump that you totally didn't see coming because you were going so fast. Again, zero issues. It just grips. Thank goodness, because if it didn't we'd be writing a much different review. As it is, the tires make up for the center S1 deficit, overly stiff dampers. Obviously tuned for glass-smooth racetracks, in anything but comfort mode they're just too stiff for the street. In full-strength plus R mode the car pogos over bumps like the old Ford Focus RS. There's so much vertical movement taller drivers need to watch their heads. It's the one area where this car went backwards, generation to generation. In the old center you could jump in, push the plus R button, and go. Didn't matter the road or the surface. It was set up perfectly for anything. You can't do that with the new version. You need to go into the infotainment system, find the vehicle settings menu, then the driver assistance menu, then customize the individual drive mode. That way you can put the engine in plus R mode and the dampers in comfort, and maybe the steering in comfort too, since like too many cars it gets needlessly heavy in sportier modes. While you're in there, scroll to the bottom of the driver assistance menu and turn off the automatic rev matching feature for the 6-speed manual transmission. Obnoxiously, before you can do any of that you not only need to be at a complete stop, but have the parking brake engaged. We'd be able to accept this as a safety precaution if it weren't for the fact that any non-driving related settings can be altered while the vehicle is moving. You can literally reset the infotainment system to the factory defaults while moving, but you can't turn off the rev match feature unless the parking brake is on. It's especially obnoxious because there's an unused button next to the drive mode selector that could have been the rev match on off switch. The system's saving grace is that it'll remember your drive mode and rev match settings on restart. With the exception of +R mode, the car will restart in the same configuration you had it in when you shut it off, so you don't have to change a bunch of settings every time you get in. It's a slight pain in the ass setting it up the first time, but it's so worth it. Properly configured, the new center may be stiffer than the old one, but reasonably so, keeping it copacetic. Otherwise, Honda didn't mess with success. Yes, the engine makes slightly more power than before, 315 horsepower now, an increase of 9, but it's more of an optimized tune than any revolutionary update. Power still builds progressively with revs, the engine feeling stronger and stronger as you climb toward redline. If you experience turbo lag, it's because you're in the wrong gear and you let the revs drop too low. Drive it like you mean it, and you'll never be disappointed. Honda engineers correctly ascertained the old center didn't need more power to be better and focused on the power curve instead, because really with front-wheel drive, you're just going to be battling torque, steer, and traction if you simply keep adding power to pump up the spec sheet. The center would be significantly worse if it were significantly more powerful. Similarly, they didn't waste any time trying to make the shifter any better. When you're neck and neck with Porsche for the best manual shifters on the market, what's there to work on? The new Center S shifter transmission and pedal spacing are exactly as perfect as were the old cars. And yet it's so much more. Don't let what we've said thus far convince you Honda didn't improve the breed, though. The underlying structure is new and it lends the car a new shape. Popular as the old center was, there was often a yes, but appended to opinions, which always centered around the somewhat juvenile styling. Subtle it wasn't, this car, for better or worse, is far more mature and restrained stylistically, so much so that the big rear wing looks almost like a Pep Boy special and not something designed in an OEM wind tunnel. Regardless of what you think of the outside, the inside is a resounding success. The new Civic's interior is a vast improvement on the old models, especially the dashboard. Pairing it with the previous Center's fantastic seats is a winning combination. Retaining hatchback practicality, though it's more of a four-door coupe now, means there's still a ton of cargo room for everything from luggage to spare wheels and tires when you head off to track events. Like you, we wondered what Honda would do to somehow make the center even better. We might have guessed, hoped even at thoughtful, incremental improvement, and that's exactly what happened. The new Honda Civic Type R is everything great about the old car turned up a notch, plus a new interior, all for just under $45,000. It's the best performance bargain on the market, assuming you can find one without an insane dealer markup, and we couldn't ask for anything more.